so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush.
A little bit of an issue last time versus DePaul, where the roster wasn't quite updated properly, so both teams agreed to replay the match with properly updated rosters. So last on Sunday, when we had our first game of the season, Wartburg ended up winning it, but it did not count, as the game will have to be replayed. So we'll see how it goes tonight. Obviously, we're in hopes that Wartburg can pull it out once again. But it was an incredibly close match last time. Wartburg did have the lead the entire war, but it was very, very close. Just about 20 to 30 point difference for most of the war, off of really just a really good race, about race 2 or 3 for Wartburg, and then was race 2. Yep, race 2 was a great race for Wartburg. And then they kind of just held that lead for the whole time. DePaul made a great last race, but it wasn't enough to bring it back all the way. So we will see how it goes tonight, as I believe they have the lobby set up now, and they will be heading in pretty shortly.
Yeah, it seems like everything is set up, and we'll get you in there. But yeah, it was race 2 that really made a difference. Last time, it was a 22-point swing, and no matter what, that's going to make a pretty big difference. I think our audio might be a little weird right now. That's what the problem is.
As we get the audio figured out here, it looks like Wartburg is opting for the Neo Bowser City pick to start. And it is. Wartburg gets their course selection to start here. This is kind of become Wartburg's favorite track, as they kind of hard grinded time trials on this track to start their practice, as it just has pretty good drifting fundamentals overall. Just a lot of turns, not a whole lot of gimmicks to this one. So yeah, should be a solid race from Wartburg. And on the screen, who you'll be looking at here on the left is Lewis and Clark, the team captain. On the right is John Longon. And you see Lewis and Clark starting off in first, does not have an item, but gets an item block picked up right here. Misses the double item block, though. So because of that, only has a coin in first. Luckily, John Longon's in second to kind of play defense from any red shells that could be coming in. There we go. Looks like we got some audio now for the stream. We'll see if Lewis and Clark's able to get anything going here. They do get a green shell at least to play some defense behind a coin, so in case they get ghosted, they still have something, as John Longon loses that second place position.
Ghosted, by the way, for those who didn't tune in last time, is just what the card is here called Boo.
Yeah, yep. The boo sounds too close to blue. As Lewis and Clark kind of beefs the turn there. Slows down, runs to the wall, but had such a lead that they didn't have anyone kind of catching up to them. Had somebody get pretty close there. Trails them with a banana. And John Longon getting absolutely Mario Karted there on the right, all the way down to 12th place now.
That's the one thing. Mario Kart is always its own greatest leveler.
Yep, that is the way it's designed to kind of just help people from the back get all the way up to first, and people in the first are going to get blue shell, just like we see this blue shell coming in hot right here, as Lewis and Clark tactically backs up to let the blue shell hit Weiser in front of him from DePaul. Gets hit on the way, though. 2 red shells to boot. And here comes Mario Kart shenanigans happening. Backs up for the blue shell, ends up getting hit by a bajillion items, falls all the way to 8th place.
Yeah, weirdly enough, sometimes it feels like first place can also be the safest position, just depending on who you got around you. Because if you're in the middle of the pack, everything's flying at you.
Yeah, you don't want to be in the middle. As John Longon there was in third, fell off, but made a comeback. And Lewis and Clark in first for almost the entire race, but falls into 6. And it looks like DePaul takes 1, 2, and 4. Unfortunate ending there for the side of Wartburg, as They had the lead most of the race, but a little bit of a beefed turn there from Lewis and Clark. Bumped into a few walls, kind of tossed his lead, and the blue shell came. And it was curtains from there.
Yep, first time now of the season, really. Well, I guess, yeah, first actual race of the season, finally.
Yeah.
And Wartburg starts it down.
And we'll see the course selection. It looks like it will be DePaul's choice of, what's this one called? Music Park. Music Park.
I played enough 7 to know a decent amount of the track names.
7 was a good one. 7 was incredibly hard to 3-star, though. You could get first place on all 4 races of the Cup, and you would still not get 3 stars sometimes if you bumped into too many walls or got hit by too many items. It was ridiculous.
I guess that correction kind of leads you into something where these series are all 12 race. So every single time you'll be seeing the Carters be going for quite some time.
Yeah, so if none of you tuned into last week's Mario Kart race or Sunday's Mario Kart race, the rules for Collegiate Mario Kart is 6v6, but no team settings are turned on. So you are able to hit your teammates with items, which requires a lot of communication, a lot of teamwork to make sure that you can properly utilize your items, especially the lightning, aka shock. You got to make sure that your teammates can dodge that as much as possible, because the shock automatically hits everybody on the entire track unless they are in a star or a bullet or anything that provides them with some sort of invincibility.
Yeah, I think also just being behind the person throwing the shock, unless that's different.
Oh, yeah, it might only shock the people in front of you. Not 100% sure how that works. But John Longon, I'm pretty sure, just greened himself right there.
I think that was a Gremlin coming into the side, just getting a little bit too close.
Well, earlier, as I was yapping, he tried to hit
bit.
somebody on a turn, and I think it bounced off the wall and hit him, and that's what threw him from like 5th to 11th.
Just a little bit.
Lewis and Clark getting caught on the curb there a little bit as he tries to drift Snake back and forth. Manages to hit that shortcut properly, though. I actually did not realize you can cut it sharp enough to take that without a mushroom. But if anyone knows that you can do it, it will be Lewis and Clark.
Yeah, Mr. Mario Kart essentially spending a lot of time in here. Just trying to grind out time trials, or even then if he's not here, he's watching things, participating things back in his own room even.
And a little bit of a team bump right there. Lukey coming through with a star, going to bump Lewis and Clark.
And John Longon getting sent off by the bullet bill.
Not looking great on lap 3 here from these two we have on our screen. They had decent starts, but it's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. And Mario Kart will sure make you learn that lesson. In 8th and 12th place. Top 3 going to DePaul here. It's a great start from DePaul. Not the start you want to see if you're Wartburg. They're going to have to make up some points here. Going to need some races with maybe a top 4 in there.
18-point swing in favor of DePaul.
And now the Moo Moo Meadows pick coming out from Wartburg. Kind of a fan favorite from everyone, it seems. Nobody hates Moo Moo Meadows.
I think that's DePaul that threw that one out, actually.
Oh, it is DePaul who picked Moo Moo Meadows.
Well, there you have it. That kind of proves it.
Yeah, nobody hates Moo Moo Meadows. It'd be funny if we see both teams pick Moo Moo Meadows in this next one. And I mentioned this last time, but it still is so strange to me that there's no system in place to determine. You would think that schools would alternate who picks what course, but of course Nintendo lobbies don't have that kind of functionality picked, so both teams just vote for races, and it's a 50-50 whether it gets one team or the other.
I honestly think that's the joy of Mario Kart, quite frankly.
Okay, we see Lewis and Clark bagging here, going backwards just to get 1 coin. Hopefully he doesn't get booted for bagging too hard. Okay, makes it out of that checkpoint. If you stay behind the finish line for too long after the start, you can get kicked. And I believe they aren't the hosts. I think DePaul's hosting this time, so. I see Lewis and Clark, great item optimization there. Had a mushroom to take the little shortcut on that ramp, but decides to go for the double item block instead, which when you're in kind of those lower places, the items are more powerful than a little bit of speed on the track. And we have 11th and 12th place right now, both with nearly full coins. One can only assume that one will be farming for shock here. That's why you see a little bit of back and forth here from John Longon. Ideally, I believe he would have waited on that item block, used his star, and gotten a third item from it. But did not do that.
And just looking at the minimap, top 3 of the race seem to be 2 DePaul players. And I think that's Cookie Cat there with the link.
And I believe that this track is a bagging track, which means that it is easier to make comebacks with better items, which is why you see a lot of players just kind of hanging in the back for now, as we see Lewis and Clark making his stride towards first right now with a mushroom set up on the shortcut at the end. He was in like 11th place now, gonna snag second there. Works out for him as he's able to block that red shell. John Longon getting 8th. Gremlin falls into 12th. And first place from DePaul, but Wartburg was able to snag his 2nd, 3rd, and 5th, I believe.
Yeah, 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 6th. Get this punched in. First positive swing for the Knights.
4-point swing that was, right?
Yep.
All right, slowly but surely, a lot of races to come. And there we go. I called it, and here it is. What a shame, says Sayuri.
It's okay. I didn't know if it gave up, but I guess it doesn't.
Either going to be Moo Moo Meadows, or it's going to be Moo Moo Meadows.
Oh, Moo Moo Meadows is the pick.
Okay. You know, there was a chance of it being Moo Moo Meadows, so I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think we need a new emote for our Twitch viewers. We need a Moo Moo Meadows cow emote.
That's not a bad.
Probably wouldn't be too hard to make either. So we see a lot of people right there burning out on that start. Probably doing that on purpose to try to get a better item off this first item block here. Because if you start in the front, I mean, there's a chance you'll survive. We see Lewis and Clark making that happen. But you need to make sure you don't get red shelled right off the bat or hit by anything right off the bat because there's such a clumped up group here to start. Lewis and Clark holding on to that coin. There we go. Uses it now as he gets a little bit closer to the item block. Misses those 2 coins. That could have been huge. Snagged them from the person behind him. Misses the drift around the cows. Going to get caught by 1. You lose coins for that and placement. Oh, and a little bit of team bump happening right there as Cookie Cat gets caught by a green shell while she has 3 around her. Going to catch Lewis and Clark there. Lewis and Clark rewarded with a green shell for his ghost. And the final lap here, man, this race goes quick. I love the touch of Mario Kart having the music speed up.
It really is something that really they only do because not many racing games, if they take them so seriously, they just don't have music in the back.
And a mushroom here for John Longon in second. 2 mushrooms, actually. Let's see how he's able to utilize these. Gets caught by a green shell before 1. Probably going to use the last mushroom here on this last grass patch. Forced him to swing out wide. That might have actually slowed it down more than it helped. 4th and 5th going to be there. But I do believe that's 3rd from Gremlin. 2nd from Gremlin. But DePaul maintaining that first place. Almost, I think, actually every time its bus has gotten first place. So that's going to be hard to catch up to somebody who can race that well.
Back to where it was the race before.
Let's see what the pick is from the side of Wartburg, since nobody can do Moo Moo Meadows anymore. Once a race is picked, it is not allowed to be picked any longer for the rest of the war. And Wartburg opting for a lot of bagging tracks. And a Wild Woods pick coming out from DePaul. We saw this happen on Sunday. They went for Wild Woods as well. Hopping into the 5th race here. Just a 28-point difference between these two teams on a pretty significant bagging course. Let's see how each player attacks this off the start. Okay, neither of these two players opting to bag from where they're at. Typically, if you're in the middle of the pack, you might as well just go forward. But if you're towards the back end, that's when you'll bag from the beginning. And first and second from these two players. Oh, and that green shell going to snipe Lewis and Clark from downtown. You got a great view of it from John Longon's perspective.
First time here. Squid up in first. John Longon following behind.
And going from first to 12th from one green shell. But it is a bagging course, like we said earlier. Lewis and Clark just going to make sure he grabs these coins, 9 coins. Going to grab 2 items. And see where he goes from here. And the shock is in hand. Now, what you want to do is just hold this shock for as long as possible. He is in last, so nobody around him can see that he has shock. And he's just going to wait for as many of his team members to get a dodge and use it at a proper time. Ideally, you'd want to time it right after the front runners pass item blocks, because shock also makes you lose all your items. And another green shell just put on the pain.
Another thing about the shocks, also a blue shell in the pocket there, but one thing about shocks is once one is picked up, another one can't be gotten from an item box until it's been used just like it was there.
Yeah, so once you claim that shock, you know for a fact that the other racers on the track do not have shock. And I believe there might be a cooldown period on it too, so I think for the next X amount of time, another shock cannot be gotten.
There's the blue shell flying in.
Blue shells used to be like that, but I believe a change changed that. I'm not 100% sure. But here we go, the very end of this last race. We see everybody popping their mushrooms, stars, everything they can. And Lewis and Clark going to get spun out right before the boost pad. Tragic, losing multiple spots because of that. And top 3 go to DePaul there, even after a shock coming from Wartburg. And I believe its bus actually got last that time. So
yep, last place.
Funny swing of events there.
Interesting. 4, 6, 7, 9, 8, 10 for Wartburg. At least a minus 14 on that.
Yeah, Wartburg with a 42-point differential. They're really going to have to get some cooking here if they want to catch up.
This is always the fun part about Mario Kart. It's the downtime and just no noise.
Yeah, you in online you always have to wait for everybody to connect before it actually officially starts going. See Lewis and Clark spinning backwards. Gonna get this double item block here. And the boost pad to go.
I didn't know Lakitu came in and stopped you from going backwards too far, actually.
Yeah, if you go the wrong way for too long, turn you around. Good for all the little siblings that you give the unplugged controller to. Even though I am so against that. I never realized how against that I am until my nephew was born and now is old enough to start playing his first video games. Mario Kart's actually one of the ones that he started playing. And I never want to give any of my future children or any little ones unplugged controllers, because I want them to know that when they push buttons, it does things on the TV. I don't want them to learn that it's just arbitrary, that you just mash buttons and hope for a good outcome. But that's the Coach Fisher rant for the day, I guess.
I was privy to at least one per week.
Yeah.
Just depends on the game that's going on.
And Lewis and Clark doing a phenomenal job here on the left of that final shortcut at the end. You can actually hop over those tires if you jump at the right time. And has been able to do it on both the first 2 laps. Let's see if he can nail it for the 3rd one coming up here at the end. And a star to go as well. 4th place. Here we go. Let's see if he can hop over. I don't even think he has to with the star. I think he's just fine there. Ends in 3rd. John Longun, is he going to be able to make up any places? Probably not. Ends in 12th. Not a great showing from John Longun today, I will be honest. He has been farming shock a few times on that one course, but bottom 3 there from Wartburg.
Yeah. Not exactly what we saw last time. A minus 18 swing there.
Yeah, this was a much different story last time from the side of Wartburg. Both teams do have slightly different rosters playing tonight. Gremlin is in for Jay Coop, and I believe DePaul has substituted one of their players. I believe the player who ended up in 12th last time has been subbed out for DePaul, so that's probably helping them out here.
I do want to say thank you to Surik in the chat. Did say blue shells and shocks can only spawn once every 30 seconds and not in the first 30 seconds of the race.
Okay, we're getting the numbers out here.
Which, yeah, I knew there was a certain time within the start of the race that it can spawn. I just wasn't sure how the buffer time.
I do wonder if that is from the point it spawns in your inventory or if it's from the time it's used. So I wonder if you just hold on to a blue shell long enough if another one can spawn after 30 seconds.
I know for a shock it's only one can be in hand at a time.
Okay. I believe I've seen double blue shells, but maybe when you play with CPUs, it's a little bit different.
Apparently it is from when it's used.
Okay.
So.
Good to know, good to know. And Lewis and Clark only pulling a coin from that box. Going to get sniped by Shell there. Falling all the way back to 11th place now. Oh, and a little bit of grinding on the rail there from Lewis and Clark. Putting it close. I didn't even know you could drive on that part. Now, this is one of my personal favorite courses. I just love the way it looks and the aesthetics. I think all the turns are satisfying. There's different paths you can go on, at least in this little part. There's a wider path and a thinner path. One has coins, the other does not. One's a little bit faster. And I believe when we played this one last week, I talked about the same thing, but I love the addition of coins. I think it just really makes you think about your pathing.
It's also interesting because it is a completely different dynamic in terms of it's not just, oh, you have to make the car with the fast acceleration no matter what, the fastest speed no matter what. You can put a little bit more thought into other stats because if you get those coins, those are going to go up anyways.
True. Yep. It will increase your speed no matter what. The thing that is interesting about the coins, though, is it makes last place better and it makes first place better. But being in the middle of the pack where the coins are all going to be taken by other people and you're going to be getting hit by tons of items making you drop those coins, it'll be interesting to see how that changes in the next Mario Kart. If they're going to keep coins, if they're going to rework coins, we'll just have to wait and see. And Lewis and Clark does get the block on the triple greens to block that red that was coming behind him. Typically, you want to throw it behind you at the last second. But I think he just kind of risked it. And something I've noticed from both of these players is there's no rear view cam that has been used other than backing up in the very beginning of the course.
Bottom 4 there for Wartburg.
Not great. Not great for Wartburg. But I feel like typically when I watch some higher level gameplay, whether that's just on YouTube or what have you, I see a lot of rear view cam being used to see what items the person behind you has, because you can see it physically in their hands, especially when they're trying to throw something backwards to block a red shell. They'll usually look behind them and then chuck it. It is very difficult, though, because you obviously can't see where you're going when you look backwards, but definitely something that all these players could probably work on is using that rear view cam a little bit more.
Try to make that scoreboard just a little bit bigger, make sure it's more legible. Text is kind of small on that. Just a little bit on the scoreboard.
Yeah, it is. The 8th race coming up here, it's going to be Sunshine Airport. Wartburg down 84 points. They're going to need like a top 6 realistically to bring this back.
I don't believe it was said earlier, but this is the Collegiate Karting League Division 7, the entry level for the Collegiate Karting League.
Yeah, so because Mario Kart does not have any sort of ranking system built in, I mean it does, but it is essentially useless. What that means is all these players have no prior experience in any sort of ranked play or tournament play of Mario Kart in the past. Then they kind of just toss them to the lowest division, and it's kind of the wild card division. So all these teams, all these players are almost entirely new to competitive Mario Kart. Maybe they've been just playing online, maybe they've just been time trialing, but at least have not competed in any sort of organized format. So it is, yeah, the wild card. You don't know how good any of these teams are going to be. Maybe they're going to be fantastic. Maybe they're all just going to be people who are kind of just picking up Mario Kart for the first time and want to be a part of a team, which there's no issue with that, but just very wide variance of skill levels here.
And I mean, that's not even bringing account the fact that sometimes these teams are just clubs, sometimes they're sponsored by the school. A lot of variance in the esports realm.
Yeah. All that is required is that you are a college student for this league here. Which, obviously, Wartburg, I mean, I'm the full-time coach here. This is my full-time job, is just running this whole program. We have this sick arena built out for us. So we definitely have the luxury and the means to get better as this season goes on, and that's what I love about any league that has skill divisions like this, is everybody is grouped based off how good they are at the start of the season, but what matters is how good you are at the end of the season. So I believe we're putting in a bunch of work. We're only going to get better and better, and even though we had to replay this match and looks like the outcome may be a little bit different than it was the first match, what matters is game time. We're playing, we're getting experience, and we're going to get better every single day, and that's what matters. As we sneak into second place there. It's a great start, but we might need more than that. With its bus just barely hanging on to first there. Now we'll see the score update here in a little bit. Not sure if that was a swing for Wartburg or DePaul. Swing for DePaul there, 10-point swing. And the lead grows and grows.
94 points separating. It will take quite a decent one. I mean, it doesn't help, especially when only one race has gone in favor of Wartburg. But I mean, it's like you said, probably going to need close to a top 6, at least 4 racers in the top 6.
Swamp Ruins and Shy Guy Falls are the 2 picks here. And it is going to be Wartburg's pick. The Swamp Ruins. Now this is an interesting course. There's at one part near the beginning where it kind of splits into a few different sections. You can either go up onto the walls, just along the sides. You can kind of go underwater there. And honestly, I don't even know what the fastest path is. Do you know?
I don't at all.
Well, we can probably just follow Lewis and Clark here. I'm sure he will know. Gets that red shell off the bat. Take this first place early. Okay, does go up the side. I believe that there's more coins along this path. But the part that I was talking about earlier, there also is double item block, is this part right here. You can go in you can go in the middle here, but the ramp is not open until future laps. So I'm assuming that going through the middle is probably the fastest.
I would assume, especially
most players seem to be doing that.
John Long Gun running into a few walls there. It's dropped him down quite a bit.
And that's the thing. You think that Mario Kart isn't too difficult when you first think about it competitively. You're going to think that it's all about items and just hoping you get lucky. But realistically, if you can race almost a whole race by taking the fast lines, avoiding bumping into the walls, it'll help a lot. And that's something that Wartburg is really going to have to work on. I mean, we have all this time to practice. We got to make sure that we have these driving skills honed, which is much easier said than done. But if you're going to lose time and lose positioning, you should hope that you lose it to getting hit by a red shell that you can do anything about, or a well-timed shock from the opponents, and not quite as much as just bad racing. That's one thing that is fully in your control.
Cookie Cat, John Long Gun bumping into each other, getting that speed boost in the zero grav section. Oh, just barely falling off right before the glider section.
And a tight clump here in the middle, as Lewis and Clark gets bumped off the edge there, trying to go for that shortcut with the mushrooms. Luckily, Lakitu does take him a little bit forward, but 8th place, still not going to be great. Needs to hope for something good here in the double item block. Oh, and John Long Gone missing all the items in 11th place. Goes right between the blocks. That's going to be killer. Oh, and John Long Gone bumping into the wall, going to fall off. That's probably going to secure 12th place for him. Maybe just hoping for a shock or something crazy here, but not much hope. Lewis Clark does snag 5th place there at the very end.
I mean, overall, not terrible, though. 2, 3, 5, 6.
Yeah, but also 11th and 12th from Wartburg, so... Yeah, 2-point swing for DePaul.
Three races to go. So I know that they're not exactly the best to race competitively on, but I love the point-to-point races. Personally speaking.
What races do you mean?
Like the moon one where you start all the way up top and then you go all the way down, like the rally stages.
Those are pretty fun.
I love those to just play. I know competitively they're just annoying to learn at all. Is the thing.
Yeah, because they're so different every time, but it's not too bad. I do think it's a great concept, though.
It really
Instead of
is.
having 3 laps, you just have one massive lap. And Shy Guy Falls, and another one we saw on Sunday. Very fun course. Lewis and Clark does not get an item block, though. I think purposely slows down because of that, trying not to get smacked by anything. Maintain those 2 coins that he has right now. Lewis and Clark swinging out wide, trying to get those coins. So let's take a look on the right at John Long Gone here in 3rd place with 2 mushrooms, able to go up top. There is a mushroom shortcut that you can hit right here. And John Long Gone does hit it, taking 1st place now. Only has a coin, though. Not sure if Wartburg has 2nd. I believe that Wartburg does not have 2nd right now.
It's a bust.
Uses the coin right before the item block. I believe that's a mistake. Gets another coin because of it. He should have held on to that coin. And if he gets hit by any red shell or anything, he has no defense. It's passed anyway. There's a blue shell on the way. Probably communicating right now to pull back from John Long Gone. Does dodge that. Looks like its bus must have a mushroom. Was able to dodge for that blue shell in 1st.
Does mean it'd probably be down an item.
Yeah, time to let that red shell fly. Saving it for defense instead, though.
John Long Gun has a horn now.
Yeah, that would have been the perfect time to let the red shell fly. It seems like a little bit of item mismanagement from John Long Gun here. On the left, Lewis and Clark making a comeback now in 4th place with triple mushrooms, finishing out a star. Full coins. Let's see how this goes. And John Longon getting hit on the waterfall where you can't quite speed back up unless you have those speed boosts. Does secure second with that speaker. Triple bananas is not going to do much for him, but the blue shell might be able to close it out. Would doubt that whoever's in first had a speaker. They did have a speaker. Oh, no. And the shock coming out now as well. Not sure which team started that. Probably Wartburg, as Wartburg has bottom 2 places right now. Oh, not looking great from the side of Wartburg here, finishing this out.
Yeah, it was really good to start off, just now that we're getting towards the end.
And a top 4 from DePaul.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that's going to be it secured.
We see the clip coming out there. I think that might have been the first time we remembered to take a screenshot of the scores. Somebody else might have been doing it on one of the other switches, though, so you never know.
A minus 30 on that race alone. Really an opposite performance from Wartburg from what it was in essentially what was a warm-up.
Yeah.
On Sunday.
Yeah, very, very different performance here from both teams, really. Wartburg not playing as well as they played before, and DePaul playing much, much better than they played before. But you still play all the races no matter what. Finish out strong, I guess.
Yeah, Rainbow Road.
You know, some people do say that Rainbow Road is where you go when you pass away. You end up in Rainbow Road.
Well, did you know it is the Rainbow Road? The Rainbow Road.
I've heard that. I've heard that before. That is what they say.
It is.
Probably not the best pick here. Not much of a bagging track for Wartburg, who did not do well on the last one. So, in case you don't know, you do start out in the same place as you finished the previous race. So if you got, say, 7th place in one race, you will start the next one in 7th place. So typically, if you have a poor performance as a team, you'll want to pick a course that is a bagging track, so that way you start off towards the back already. And I don't think this was Wartburg's pick, but...
No, I'm pretty sure this was a DePaul pick.
Yeah, makes sense. They had more of the front-running spots, so it makes sense that they'll just front-run it. And Lewis and Clark slowing down a little bit right here as to not get hit, maybe collect some more coins. John Longon just barely misses that banana there that got laid right in front of him. And something to note too, since this is online and the netcode is not the best for this game, sometimes other players are not where they appear to be on your screen. Which means that if sometimes you get hit by an item or you hit someone with an item, and they don't spin out, it's because they actually weren't quite there where you hit them. Or vice versa, sometimes you'll get hit by what seems like nothing, and it's because somebody was trailing an item and you bumped into them on their screen, but not on your screen, but it still made you get hit.
I saw the world's longest green shell shot going in a straight line there right before John Longon took first place.
And a great first place here from John Longon. This is a running course, but blue shell on its way. Maybe could have sped up a little bit more to try to get to those boost pads first. Seemed like he slowed down to try to catch people behind him. Oh, that mushroom is going to get ghosted from him as well. By his own teammate, I believe. Lewis and Clark on the left side, I believe, just ghosted that.
3 of the top 4 spots now for Wartburg. Might have been useful a race or two before.
Yeah, it might be a little too late. And we do still have another lap to go, so can't call it quite yet. This is Mario Kart after all. And a great line there from Lewis and Clark on the left side, if you watched that. Took both of those ramps perfectly to curve around the edge and hop over that turn to just get a boost going. But then get speakered for all his troubles because, you know, It is Mario Kart after all. And Lewis and Clark and John Long gone just snapping each other. It didn't matter. They still ended in 5th and 6th. And Berg gets 2nd and 3rd, but not going to be much. But a bottom 4 there from DePaul on that last race. So
might have been useful if it was placed a little bit earlier.
yeah.
Yeah, everyone in the top 8 there.
How much of a point swing was that for Wartburg?
14.
14, all right. Best race from Wartburg thus far. This war. What race number are we on now?
This is the last race.
This is the last race. So let's see if Wartburg can get 112 points one race. I actually don't know what the mathematical, like what swing it is for a top 6.
I think 40 is about what it is. I know DePaul. Yeah, they got 30 on one race.
Oh, dang. 30. That's a lot of points to get one race.
Yeah, but yeah, the maximum is 40 if you fill out top 6. So there was a chance for a while. It's sort of slipped away now.
Final race. Is this a tour course too?
I believe so.
Everybody's favorite Mario Kart Tour.
I enjoyed it quite a bit at the start of it, I'll be honest. I thought it was fun, and then I realized what the gotcha pipe gimmick was.
I heard from like day 2 that you're only playing against bots, and that made me so furious that I never touched it again.
I guess I never really... Oh yeah, because they did add a versus mode later into the game. I guess I forgot about that.
I actually don't know if I've ever played on this track ever in my life. So I don't have a whole lot of feedback to give here. Okay, you can go up top right there on the little canopies. Somebody did that and then dropped right back down. Lewis and Clark doing his best to avoid all those fireballs, but it's tough. It's tough. Fireball is also another interesting item when it comes to team play. Is you can't quite control who you're going to hit when you launch all those fireballs forward. Now, normally when you're just playing for yourself, you're trying to hit as many people as possible, but trying to only hit opponents is a different story. And we saw Lewis and Clark there just throw a red shell backwards at his teammate after rear viewing and seeing that it was indeed his teammate, still chucked the shell directly at him. So interesting strat there. I know he wanted to cycle items, but there I think there could be a better way. Wartburg has 2nd and 3rd right now. First kind of taken away with it by DePaul. Okay, a little bouncy area. I didn't realize that was part of this race.
Yeah, the tour courses are really interesting. One, because they look pretty nice most of the time. Just
They
because
do,
they're
they
based
do.
off of actual cities, but it's just the changes of them that make them so different from anything else in the game.
And that blue shell going to be a little bit too late. As we see the final points right there, DePaul getting the top 2 spots. And here are the final scores here. It's Bus with 151 points. That's hard to beat. Hard to beat. Nobody from Wartburg breaking 100. And Berg taking the bottom 4 spots. Obviously not the ideal outcome, especially after a game that we would have won. But we ended up replaying it as both teams had people that were ineligible from their roster. Not the outcome that Wartburg had hoped for. But that's all right. We get better every day. That's why we practice. Just the first game of the season, so I'm not at all worried. Definitely, we saw a lot of things that we get to work on after today. That we mentioned some mistakes coming out for both of the 2 players we saw, and probably plenty more from the rest of the team. And we can work on those mistakes, clean it up, and we'll be back. We'll be back. So another game tomorrow scheduled. It will not be on stream though. Overwatch will have their last MVEC game of the season on stream tomorrow against Illinois College. So stay tuned for that. I believe Wartburg does have to win this in order to make the playoffs of that league. So huge game coming out from Wartburg.
I'll check that just in case. I think.
If not, it's going to come down to tiebreaker.
I think we might be. No, we're good.
We're good no matter what. Okay, never mind then. So
if we win it though, we have a chance to go to be top 3.
Okay, so better seeding. So
yeah.
Tomorrow's match will be for seeding for Overwatch for MVEC playoffs. So stay tuned for that. We'll post scores on social medias of our Mario Kart score. And then we got 2 more Overwatch games on Thursday and Friday. JV on Thursday. Friday will be varsity. Then after that is Wartburg Spring Break next week. So lots of games happening this week, Spring Break next week, and then lots more games to come after that. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching, and have a great night.
Wrong screen.
Yeah, I'm on my way home. I'm no good for you, so I drive around Manhattan. They're all laughing, oh, I'm tragic. Yeah, I'm driving.